Hey guys, welcome back. We got a whole bunch to cover today on GameStop and why it is my opinion that GameStop is bad for the hobby, that they're sucking money out of Pokemon card collectors everywhere. How you just take a look at anyone who has amassed an incredible collection and they're not buying lunar packs. So if the gambling wasn't enough, they're getting more intense with the gambling. You can now gamble $2,500 at a time in the slot machine that looks like an arcade machine, and we got PSA advertising this absolute trash. Get started now. Come on, get in there. We want your gambling bucks. We're going to talk about how it's bad value to begin with, but also on top of that, the system is so flawed in their favor that it is more predatory than just trying to sell gambling to Pokemon card collectors. So, flashback, we have at the Justin Rumpf PSA slot machine, vending machine, but now it's an arcade machine, so that's different. Again, shame on PSA for allowing this individual to grade cards and sell them to begin with. It seems like it wasn't an issue until people pointed out that it looks like it's PSA's machine, but it wasn't really, according to PSA. They made them change the branding. They're not concerned about all the other mystery product fraud that was going on. Who cares, right? To my knowledge, they have not prevented this individual from submitting more cards and pumping out his vending machine with a different style on it. Whoop-de-doo. I have no idea whether or not PSA approved the design to begin with and then backed down when people were starting to criticize them for it. More importantly is the fact that what the hell were they doing letting that person submit cards to begin with the track record and individuals that they worked with previously. All right, $2,500 lunar pack, right? We're going to the moon, boys and girls. We're moondogging. We're moondogging. We have some people in the Discord that pointed out what's going on here. This doesn't add up to 100%. So if you're going to be transparent with the values there, you should show all the cards that can potentially be pulled. If someone wants to go look them up, have them there, even if it's got to have individual links to all of them, to the PSA scans themselves. That's what you got to do. My apologies, GameStop, but this is not transparent, and it's also 100.1%. And you're saying, Rattle, it's only 0.1% that they're off when you add them all up. That's not a big deal. Well, yeah, it is kind of a big deal when this is 0.1%. So where did we round? Where's the roundage? What's going on here? Where's the discrepancy? Do we need more accurate representations of what's here? Not to mention the prices are the most BS of all time. You're going to put 2,500 real dollars in. They're going to give you values based on some shit that is not believable. And the most not believable is one that they're flaunting about right now. We have the Gengar Sky Ridge PSA 10. It's the hollow number 9 from the set. And they're saying here it's $33,883. So I don't know where Card Ladder is pulling that out of their butt and or GameStop is pulling it out of their butt. We get PSA's estimate on this one is actually pretty close, which is kind of weird, kind of wild, because if we go take a look at the last eBay sale, we got one that sold for less than $30,000, and it was directly from PSA on eBay. So maybe that needs some fine-tuning in order to not make you think that you're getting more money than you actually are from the vending slot arcade machine. So GameStop makes this post. GameStop customer sets record $30,000 trade-in. And this is sort of deceiving because if you just read the title, you might think, oh, somebody went into the store and they traded in a $30,000 card. And it was only worth $33,883, but they got $30,000. That's pretty good. They don't give me near that much for my games when I trade them in or when I try to bring my Pokemon cards in. All right. So down below, we get into the fact that it was not a GameStop trade-in. It was somebody that cashed out on their gamblings because they got the Gengar. They pulled it from the Power Packs. Why is Power Packs not bolded in this little article? Here's the card in question. Pretty gross stuff. Now we got some other flaws that are going on, and a reminder that GameStop benefits from the price being too high. So it's in their best financial interest to make sure that those quoted prices, those values are as high as possible Not to mention this bad boy here. We have a GX SM57. Nothing spectacular. Shouldn't have been graded to begin with. And that's a lot of mystery products. That's what they have. That's what they do. You get a mystery slab. It's helping collectors. They want the graded cards, and it's already graded for them. They can just skip a step. Yeah, but when it's trash that shouldn't be graded to begin with, and then on top of that, this one's cracked. And then they took the scan. So, like, how many people saw this before it got put up onto the website? How many people are just going to sell this back because they don't want the hassle? At this point, it's essentially a raw card that you got to pay extra shipping to receive. Pretty wild. So it wasn't cracked when it was graded by PSA. At some point after that, it got cracked, very cracked, to the point that whoever didn't see that as they were taking the photos is on crack. That was just a joke. They're not actually on crack, I don't think. All right, we got the GX. So it's a raw card at this point in time. Not to mention the fact that the PSA 8 is not going to add any value. Put that sucker up for auction, and someone's going to buy it for less than near mint. How do I know? Because that's often what I do when I'm buying things to collect. Buy an 8, buy a 9, crack it out, and this one's pre-cracked. So even better, even less value there. Less value there. So we have a $6.38 card, free shipping. Holy moly. Sick. And it might be in better condition than the 8 that is in the cracked case. All right, what do we got here? We got the old power packs. We got the old hits that you can buy, the hits that you can get. Surely, there isn't going to be some errors. Again, these errors that seem to be popping up pretty often in terms of pricing and pretty often in terms of like mislabel, cracked case, all of that stuff that makes the card worth less money than it shows on the website that you can win. But when you sell it back, GameStop likes that. So how long before the pool of cards becomes more and more terrible, because it'll be a card that's not actually worth that much. It'll be a card that has a crack in the case. It'll be a card that's mislabeled here. $1,577. So if you're not paying attention here, this is the Paldea Evolved PC ET. Wait, no, it's not. There's no Pokemon Center stamp on there. So you win this bad boy from your mystery gambling machine that's been pumped by GameStop and PSA. And guess what? You're going to sell it back because you realize, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't have the stamp on it. It's not worth this much. How in the world? So then somebody else wins it. They sell it back. GameStop is going to soak that profit from that to 90% buyback plus the fees. And guess what? Maybe someday someone gets absolutely hosed by getting this shipped to themselves by not realizing that it doesn't have a stamp on it. Whew. All right, here we go. We got the old store credit and cash. The estimates are subject to change, but apparently the prices on the GameStop website are not altered. So there should be some sort of reporting feature. You shouldn't be using any of this to begin with. If you value money, there's a ton of people in the hobby right now that are concerned about, I want to get the best value. What should I buy? That's the thing that everyone asks when they're brand new. You want to be able to tell if someone's brand new to Pokemon cards. They ask you what you should buy, what they should buy. What should I buy? What's a good value? Gambling? Stay away from the gambling. Stay away from it. Whether it's on Whatnot, where you're going to get scammed constantly and people are not even going to get banned, or they're just going to make a new account, or even the highest of high on the platform, Blake Martinez, is going to scam your absolute panties off. So here we have it. We have the old not deactivated by PSA. Oopsie doopsie. This is a fairly inexpensive mistake for them to... I'm sure we'll see some more expensive ones, like that trim Charizard that still isn't deactivated last I checked. That's an expensive one. PSA 10, first edition base Charizard. Yeah, that's a hard one to deactivate. But you know what? PSA doesn't have your best interest in mind either, in my opinion. All right, let's check out this one here. Sun and Moon promos. PSA 10. Okay, it's a Greninja. That's pretty cool. Card ladder value 371 boners. That seems a little high. Let's go take a look here. We have one that sold in October for 290 at auction. We have some that sold previous to that. Again, real sales, not real sales. This one seems like a real sale. This $290. I think I'd be more in that range if I was shopping for 10s, which I don't. I think 10s are BS. But again, also, you're going to end up with a pool of cards that are misgraded or that are weak 10s if they end up in there. And if they're just pulling that card ladder price, that's the card that you're going to get. They win. If you don't keep the card, they win. If you do keep the card, they still win because the gambling is not in your favor. Most oftentimes, you're going to get trash. But then even if you cash out on something, the perceived value, the tricky part, the listed value is not even anywhere close. So PSA has an estimate of $292 on this Greninja 10, which is interesting that they're not pulling those. Are those numbers not good enough for the PSA / GameStop X GameStop gambling? They don't want to use those numbers? Should anyone use those numbers? Who knows? Then we got the physical. You got to get the physical gambling out of the way too. We have someone here that picked up a $100, $99.99, not $100, less than $100 power pack from GameStop, and the graded chase card I got was valued at 25 cents. Yeah, pretty much. So for anyone that isn't aware, and it's not really showing here, it's a PSA 9. It is not first ed. This is the bulkest of bulk. You should never fucking send this in. If you need to ask what you should be grading, if you're not sure if you're adding value to what you're sending in, please hold off, do more learning before you grade your cards. That's if you even want graded cards to begin with. But be careful. You can waste a ton of money. Noob trap to the extreme. What is this doing in this box? Like, we've seen some terrible. We saw the rare candy, absolute trash they were packing in there. Every flippy, rippy, shippy in existence is just thrown in just junk slab, CGC garbage. But like this is next level. So the lightning energy, ignore the first edition stamp there. We have unlimited selected up at the top. We got 32 cents for this bad boy. And it's free shipping if you buy over $5 worth of them. You can buy 14 at 32 cents a piece. Sick. You have one for you, your friends, your family, people you like, people you don't like. Now, finding this, absolutely impossible. So that's the thing too. Find someone to sell this to. Who wants it? If it was a 10, maybe you break even. This is like a junk slab in the fullest degree of junk slabs. When the card itself does not produce or isn't worth any more than before you graded it. And this is like, that's like junk slab. But this is like ultimate junk slab, where it doesn't even justify the cost of grading the thing. This is an 8, this is an 8. So again, and it's one of those things that's like, you shouldn't be grading it. It's just inexpensive card. If it hits the 10, you're lucky to break even kind of scenario. And we can't even, there's not even copies available because no one wants it. We do a little bit more digging, trying to find a Gym Heroes PSA 9 Lightning Energy. I was able to find an 8. But if we look at the old PSA Pop Report, and this is one of those things, this is like the pandemic all over again, where people grade stuff that you shouldn't grade. And even if it's kind of worth it at the time, like it clearly won't be after things cool off. And that's why PSA ended up with all those slabs that weren't paid for. All that grading that wasn't paid for, because the price of grading was not worth what they were going to receive back. So they left it all with PSA. PSA did some crap where they're like, oh, we'll just sell that stuff off then. Whole lot of mess. Do not use, it's not in this video, but do not use GameStop or any other middleman for your grading stuff. You're adding points of failure. GameStop has shown to be an absolute nightmare. Be careful if you're buying the GameStop. I have videos on this too. Be careful if you're buying the slabs on the GameStop website, because they have a history of purchasing fakes, and it's an absolute nightmare for people to get their money back when they receive a fake in the mail, because they were using the PSA scans, not scanning the actual card, so you couldn't even identify if it was fake until you received it. So the PSA 9 here is showing $12.56, which is, again, not worth sending in to grade. There you go. And then the 10 is, and this is like, these are like, that's like best, you basically hosed somebody if you convinced them to purchase your PSA 9 Unlimited Gym Heroes Lightning Energy for $12.56. Hats. The hats are available. I'll be sending out the payment requests tonight, starting that. You can still sign up if you want to. Not a good way to financially support. It's the hat that I want. It's the hat that I purchased. I paid more than this because it was smaller quantity. This is still going to be small quantity. It is expensive. It is New Era 5950, customized and in small batch. If you want one, grab one. If you don't want one, it's okay. if you do want to support, the best way to do so is the free ways to support. The link tree is the key to that. We got PSA Pikachu, Securus Card Shop, Card Market, Buyee if you want to learn how to purchase or are already purchasing stuff out of Japan, Collector app for tracking your collection, a bunch of discount codes to support the channel while you save some money. Make sure it's stuff you want to buy, including this stuff here. If you click before you shop at those places, don't care what you're buying, don't care what it is, if it's Pokemon, not Pokemon. Thank you for clicking before you do. That's the best way to support here. We got Card Market. Singles are your friend. They do not have to be graded. Enjoy the hobby. If you want graded cards, you got an extra amount of learning to do. You should still be fairly familiar with like condition and all of that. Be very careful. There are many manipulated cards in the market, and one's coming up here. Spoiler alert. GameStop benefits from that too. All right, so we have some teasers that GameStop is going to have super duper authentication grading services. I'll believe it when I see it, and I can only imagine the nightmares that are going to come from this. If you're not putting it in the slab yourself and the machine is doing it, how many cards are going to get destroyed? And if you are putting it in the slab, whether or not the device can get a good enough reading to tell you what the condition of the actual card is. Even the AI systems, they mess up. I don't believe any of it is actually AI. I think it's just scans and data being pulled from it. I don't think there's any intelligence or any learning of any kind happening. But here we go. So I don't know, it doesn't really show what it's doing or how it's doing it, or whether or not maybe the GameStop employee puts it in the case for you, they bend the fuck out of it, and then you have a nightmare on your hands. Don't know how it operates, don't know how it works. This is like just concept garbage that we're taking a look at. Oh, all right, here we go. The future of grading is here. GameStop, whoop-de-doo. We got a Pikachu card that does that even exist? I don't think it does. All right, here we go. We got $2,500 lunar packs. Surely, speaking of pumped up, speaking of manipulated, speaking of the most shilled cards in existence, at the top of the list, we have the Poncho Pikachus. Be careful with the Poncho Pikachus. This is a PSA 6. If you got a 6 on this thing, you got absolutely a D down. If it already had a dent in it when you received it, maybe it came that way. Maybe you dented it yourself. Maybe PSA dented it and they gave it a 6. $32.96 for this one. He's all excited. Again, all excited to be able to put it back in. Weird. Wait, what was the price on that? $32.96? We look up this exact card on PSA and they say it's $29.70. Which I think is also high because we've seen the manipulation. We got one here, 3,000 or best offer. If we take a look at the old eBay solds, cool. That's pretty cool, right? You do not want to hit a 6 on virtually anything. That's a bad time. If you're not familiar, we got the old Jay Houston, the admitted show, and this is like dumb to the next degree because usually people do it in secret if they're gonna shill stuff up, but the manipulator of the poncho market, Jay Houston, who also tried to convince Blasty to physically assault me. Or I guess he was buying him lunch. That's what we'll call it. Here we go. If we take a look back on the old Fanatics Collect, we have one only back from February of 2025. In the old Sixer, we got $1,000. Be careful out there. The manipulation is real. And when the market swings and people dump, people are going to get dicked. Now, we have GameStop people up in arms because they're like, what the hell? GameStop is increasing the prices around the holiday season? Yeah. Did you think GameStop had your best interest in mind? The company that is selling you this shoddy gambling? Do you think they care if you get the best price at a GameStop? Probably not. Then we have Pokemon TCG news/restocks that has a petition for GameStop to lower prices and stop scalping customers. Interesting. And then we have TX Toby down here who says comical coming from an account that charges for notifications. How and where could somebody get free restock notifications courtesy of Tap's expertise? If only there were 74,261 people that were not paying monthly for notifications. And if only there was a Rattle Pokemon Discord where you could get that. For anyone that doesn't get me joking around, free notifications always will be. Come on in. Get in there. All right. Last but not least, we got the GameStop. I think this is the last point. GameStop golden tickets. Yes. Lottery tickets now. No, they're not lottery tickets. Golden tickets. They're only golden tickets. Maybe it's for chocolate. Maybe it's not. But Black Friday history awaits. 5 golden tickets are scattered across GameStop stores nationwide. You'll be rewarded with a year of Pokemon drops on us. Oh my God, I hate like forced gambling, and I hate things that just suck money out of Pokemon cards. Again, do your research, make good decisions, pace yourself in Pokemon cards or any other hobby that requires spending, and you will do very well. Learn, spend wisely. It doesn't have, every purchase does not have to be the best purchase you've ever made, and you don't have to buy everything at the bottom of whatever it ever existed at, but just make smart decision after smart decision, and it will add up. Pace yourself, because if you max your credit card, if you max out your spending, if you burn yourself out mentally, you're not going to last in the long term. You're not going to be successful. Be careful with the new products. Be careful with the secondary market. Be careful, because Pokemon has the ability to print as many cards as they want. And everyone that's saying it's different is wrong and coping and or trying to sell you something that's overpriced temporarily. All right. Bad Robot saying new Physical Power Pack Series 4 coming to GameStop for Black Friday. Willy Wonka style. Oh my goodness, Wonka to the extreme. And then, I guess this is last but not least. Before I let you guys go, thank you for making it through the whole video. GameStop announces Trade Anything Day on December 6th. Customers will be able to walk into any store and literally trade anything in exchange for store credit. But then they got community noted that essentially GameStop employees have discretion to reject any item. So it's not Trade Anything Day, it's Trade Some Stuff Day. And how much were they giving you for your lamp or whatever the fuck you brought in? All right, thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time. Take care. Bye.